This episode is brought to you by HASA. Liquid is clearly better. Liquid chlorine is the highest purity, works immediately, has no added cyanuric acid or calcium, and it will leave your pool safe, clean, and clear. And by the Bottom Feeder professional grade battery powered vacuum system. It sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off with code DVB100.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Visit getskimmer.com/poolguy to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hi, welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this episode, I'm going to go over some things where in your pool service you're going to run into where I'm going to just say the customers aren't helping you. That's kind of how I'm going to start it, and you'll get the idea of where I'm going in this podcast. The customers aren't helping you. Are you a pool service pro looking to take your business to the next level? Join the Pool Guy Coaching Program. Get expert advice, business tips, exclusive content, and get direct support. From me, I'm a 35-year veteran in the industry. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, I've got the tools to help you succeed. Learn more at swimmingpoollearning.com. This is a battle that I fight all the time with customers, and this is a battle that I'm sure you fight as well. And I'll give you a scenario. You get to the account, and you open up the intermatic timer, and the on-off trippers are set from 10 a.m. to noon. And you're dealing with a 20,000-gallon pool. You kind of get where this is going. The customer got their electricity bill and they're complaining about the fact that, it's too high, and so they reduced the pool pump. Now you have to go into kind of teacher mode. In a way, you're trying to explain to them that the pool has to run more than 2 hours a day. And of course, if they're on a single speed pump, they have to maybe bite the bullet to get a VS pump. And that's a whole nother battle. I'm not going to go there at this point, but I'll address that at the end here about upgrading equipment. But the runtime is a battle that you face, that I face all the time. And it's one of those things where the pool has to circulate. It has to run a certain amount of time in order for you to do your job, in order for the pool not to have algae or to look cloudy or murky. And the customer has to learn this hard lesson that having a backyard pool is going to be an expense. I don't know if people really look at it this way when they buy a house with a pool or have a pool built, but everything that's associated with your house has now gone up. Even your property tax will go up when you build a pool because it'll be reassessed. If the builder filed the permits, which they should have, the city sees it as an improvement. Your homeowner's insurance may even go up now that you have a pool. So these are things that will go up just because you have a pool in the backyard now, but they don't think about your electricity bill going up, your gas bill going up if you have a gas heater, the water bill going up because you're now adding water to the pool. And the customer needs to understand that having a pool is an added expense, and having a higher electricity bill is part of that added expense. And for the pool to operate correctly, the pool needs to run. I've had this battle with a customer with a VS pump, variable speed pump, where he didn't like the fact that it was running 16 hours a day on a low speed, and so he switches it to 2 hours a day on low speed, and the medium speed he reduces it down also. And this is a battle also with VS pumps. They have to run longer because they're running at a lower speed, and this is where you have to really explain to the customer, if you have a single speed pump, yes, in the summertime with the air conditioner running, your electricity bill is going to be extremely high, and this is part of owning a pool. You say it in a nice way, of course, and you want to explain to the customer that the pool's not running, it's not going to be safe to swim in. You're going to have to charge him more for algicides and chlorine when you have to raise the chlorine because it's not circulating properly. And once they understand that there is other costs involved from your end, they may you may have to find a happy medium actually, where you would like the pool to run 12 hours a day, but the most you can get out of the customer is 8 hours, and I think you can live with that. And then on the flip side, if they have a variable speed pump, just give them an analogy. If you're driving, I use this one all the time because I'm in California, Los Angeles. I said, you're driving from here to Las Vegas. So if you're driving from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, if you're going 70 miles an hour, it's 270 miles. That means that it'll take you about 3 hours and 52 minutes. But if you're driving to Las Vegas and you're going 35 miles an hour, it'll take you 7 hours and 43 minutes because you're going at a lower speed. And the same concept applies to a variable speed pump. Since you're running it at a lower RPM or revolution per minute, it's going to take longer for the water to circulate, and that's why you're running it for 14 hours a day. And then just briefly tell them that you're only using about 200 watts of electricity versus a single speed pump, which will, use anywhere from 1200 to 1500 or 1800 watts, whatever you want to give them as a number. And they'll get the idea that they're saving money and the pump's going to run longer. So it may take some explanation from you, but that's one area where the customer doesn't help you when they're always adjusting the runtime lower in the pool. On the same note, a lot of customers like turning the pool off when they're using it, and that's fine in a lot of cases. But when there's a standalone VS pump and they turn off the pool, a lot of customers will hit the stop button or on-off button on some of the pumps, and then they won't turn it back on during the week, and the pool is off all week. So I've gotten the pools many a times in the summertime where I know exactly what happened. You can visually see it right away. All the debris on top, the pool's cloudy, nothing has been moving, obviously. You go to the VS pump and you see that it is off at that point. I think it's something that the manufacturers really can't fix in a way, because sometimes you do have to have it off if you're doing a repair or if the pump needs to be off for some reason. But having the on-off button or the start-stop button is a problem for us in the industry, because a lot of homeowners will turn off the pump, but they won't turn it back on, and that causes a myriad of problems with the pool not running all week long, especially in the summertime when it's 100 degrees out. So educate your customers here that, yes, I understand you don't want the pump running because it's loud and it's disruptive to your party, and it's one of those things where you can turn it off, that's fine. But can you just please make a note that when you do turn off the pump, that you actually turn it back on so that it'll go back to its regular schedule. Explain to them that the start-stop on-off button actually needs to be reactivated for the schedule to work. And if they do that, then it's a problem. You may want to just teach them, well, that's another problem too. I guess you don't want to do that about the timeout mode, or that's kind of going to where they can't handle it sometimes. But definitely just express the need for the pump to be turned back on. You can even have a little cheat sheet for the customer that explains this to them, so whenever they turn it off, and this is a big problem, so just be aware of it. And then, of course, there are these customers that will turn the pump off during the middle of the cycle. I had a pool, and she was an older person, I guess, elderly in a way, maybe not quite that old, but for some reason, every time she went in her backyard, which was often to do planting and do different things, she would turn the pump off because she didn't like the noise of it. I couldn't quite figure out why the pool just wasn't looking that great, especially, during the week. It was running a proper amount of time, and that's because she kept turning the pool off. So if you explain it like I did at the beginning, the pool needs to circulate for a lot of reasons, they may realize that and not do that. But you're going to have people that are kind of quirky like that will do things like that. So number one thing that customers do that don't help us is not running the pool long enough and interfering with the runtime by resetting it or lowering it, or even turning the pump off and not turning it back on. On that same note, it's something that you really want to inform your customers or try to get it across to them, that there has to be really open communication between you and them, and in regards to when they're going to have a pool party or a gathering at their pool. Now, a lot of customers will definitely let you know. They're trained pretty well, or they're proactive, and they'll tell you that, oh, this next weekend on Friday, my son's having his 12th birthday party. There's going to be 20 or 30 people at the pool. So what can you do to get it ready? And what can I do to make sure that after the party, everything is good? There are customers like that, quite a few like that are very proactive, and they kind of play the tape forward, and they realize that, yes, the pool probably can't handle 20 kids. And then what can I do to ensure that everything is still good after the party? But there are a lot of customers that don't tell you when they're having a party, and there's a lot of customers that don't think that is a issue. So whenever you get a new customer, it's always good to kind of just debrief them, let them know that, oh yeah, I was going to let you know that this is a pool, of course, and you're going to use it, and you may have a big party. So for everyday use with the kids, whatever, there's nothing that I have to do to, everything should be fine. I balance the water and make sure there's plenty of free chlorine in the pool. You can use the pool during the week, no problem. But if you do have a party and you have more than, 8 or 10 people in the pool, please let me know, because I can do things ahead of time to prepare the pool for you. Now, there's a few things that go along with that, and I'll touch on that too. But basically, when you say prepare the pool, there's things you can definitely do. And one thing that you're going to do is you're going to bring the chlorine level up to a shock level. It really won't affect the people in the pool if you have the right amount of cyanuric acid in there, because most of the chlorine is tied up in the cyanuric acid. That's another podcast right there. So you want to raise the free chlorine level. I like to go to 10 parts per million, which is what the LA County Health Department legally will let you put in the pool or keep it at for the swimmers. So 10 parts per million. You can also use a non-chlorine shock if you wanted to begin the pool party with. So I would add that to the pool, or you can have the homeowner put some chlorine in afterwards. It's a good idea to leave them with some chlorine afterwards. I like to leave them, depending on the customer, but most customers I'll leave them a bag of Cal Hypo, 1 or 2 pounds of Cal Hypo, or you can leave them some liquid chlorine to pour in afterwards, whatever. Just make sure they can shock the pool for you if it's on a Saturday and you're not back there till Thursday. That really helps a lot. So train the customer that let you know ahead of time there's a party. They can get it all set up. A lot of times they'll let you know ahead of time because they want you to check the heater to make sure it's working. Good thing also, because I've had this happen many times where the customer calls me on Friday morning saying, hey, the heater's not coming on and I have a big party later on Saturday. Not a good time, because you have to rush over there, try to troubleshoot the heater, and you don't have a lot of time. So if you can educate the customer that yes, here's what you do when you're having a party. You let me know with a message a week in advance or a few days in advance. And of course, you would want them to turn on their heater to see if it works, so that ahead of time and you have at least a week to get there and fix it. And then, of course, you want to remove the automatic cleaner for them. Why do you want to do this? Well, you really don't want the customer doing this. I've had so many customers break their Polaris cleaners, the pressure side cleaners, off in the wall, trying to get the quick disconnect off. They turn it the wrong way or they force it and they break the tabs on it. And if you know anything, getting that thread fitting out of the wall can be problematic. I've had customers roll up the automatic cleaner hoses where they're just in a circle, and you put the cleaner back in the pool and it's just going in circles now because the hoses have that memory, and it takes some time to break that memory with the pool hoses. I've had customers take out the cleaner, leave it on the pool deck, and someone steps on it. This happens a lot. Or they'll store it and they'll break it when they put it in an area to store it, or they'll break hoses. So it's really your job. I think it's more or less your job to be at that pool sometime during the week. If the party's on a Friday or a Saturday, and you're there on a Thursday, take the cleaner out. In my opinion, that's the best thing you can do to ensure that the cleaner is going to be safe. But if you trust the customer and you know that they've been trained, you can have them do it themselves. And a lot of times I'll get a call saying, oh, can you stop by and get the cleaner out? We're having a party on Saturday. And I'll definitely swing by and do that because I want to protect that cleaner. And if it makes sense and it's in your quadrant where you have all your pools, you can actually go back there and do that. So just be sure that you protect that. And, if they break it, it's not your problem. But I like to prevent things from happening. And so taking out the cleaner yourself is one way to make sure that it's going to, be fine the following week when you put it back in. Most of the time, the customer won't put the cleaner back in. So there may be an extra cleaning of that, but it doesn't happen all the time when there's a party. And so it's something that's just part of your service business when customers have parties. Now, on the same thread is when they have a party and they don't remove any of the toys from the pool, the noodles, the floats, it's problematic. It's something that people really, some people even, well, I was at a supplier and I've told the story before, but this old guy walked in, older pool guy, and he's like, yeah, I skipped that account because there are all kinds of toys in the pool. And I tell the customer, if there's toys in the pool, I won't clean it. I wouldn't go that far, but the toys in the pool and the floats and the noodles, especially when they get sucked in the skimmer, can actually cause some serious problems to the pool. Again, this goes back to proper communication and educating your customers. Tell them and let them know that there are 2 reasons why you want to remove all the toys from the pool, all the floats when you're done with the party. Number 1, actually it's one of those things that causes drownings, and you're wondering how that can be. Well, little kids, maybe a 2 or 3-year-old sees a toy in the pool, they're going to gravitate towards getting that toy out of the pool. It's something that they don't see there all the time. They may even try to be helpful and get the toy out of the pool, or maybe they want their float because they were using it on the weekend and they see it still in the pool, and they'll go there and try to get it out, and that is a potential drowning danger, having stuff in the pool that's attractive to little kids that want to get it or get it out. Number 2, and that's a big one, by the way. Number 1's really big, and it is the truth of the matter. So the customer, once you tell them that, they'll be like, oh yeah, I got to make sure I don't make the pool too attractive, and I don't want anyone going to getting the toys. Number 2 is that it can impact the skimmer. This happens all the time with the noodles, especially, or float that gets in front of the skimmer, and it keeps the weir gate down, or maybe the weir gate's blocked by it, and then the water can't flow into the skimmer, causing the pump to run dry, and then causing the pool pump not to prime, and causing the pool water to get cloudy, causing the pool to get algae. So I can't tell you how many times I've been to a pool after a party where the pool wasn't running because the skimmer was blocked. If they had water balloons, that's another problem too. The water balloon pieces gets in the skimmer and impact the skimmer. I've even had an after party event where I went to the pool and there was like a t-shirt stuck in the skimmer because I don't know what they were doing, but that happened. It got pulled into the skimmer and it jammed it up. And it's one of those things where you really have to be proactive with the customer, let them know that these toys in the pool are a problem. It could cause the pump to stop working. It's a drowning hazard, and clean up after the party. It's something that just should be done. I've had pools where there's been glass in the bottom. They broke glass and it fell into the pool. And, they text me, oh, we had a party and someone broke a glass that's in the bottom of the pool. I wouldn't advise glass around a pool, but hey, that's what they want to do. And, they have to be careful because there are so many things that could damage the pool. I've had a pool party where I got there and they were using regular water guns that had metal screws, and they stained the bottom of the pool. The screws, they left the water guns on the bottom, stained the pool bottom. I've had Hot Wheel cars or Matchbox cars or whatever, where they're on the bottom of the pool as well, and then you get them out and there's a rust stain on the bottom. So really important that you also tell the customer only use pool toys in the pool because they're made so that they don't impact the pool surface. And also let them know to get everything out of the pool if they're using non-pool toys. I mean, what do you do when there's coins on the bottom? Well, I scoop them out with my leaf rake, and for the effort, because sometimes they're really hard to get up, dimes, nickels, pennies, they're hard to get out. I keep the change because that's like my tip at that point. But make sure they get everything out of the pool because it can impact it. I was at a pool after a party and there was about 30 rocks in the pool, and these are pretty good sized rocks. It took a long time for me to skim them out, and I told the customer, I'm going to do this once as a courtesy, but if your kids throw all these rocks in the pool bottom, that's not going to happen. It takes a long time. It was actually kind of fun after a while because I was getting so many rocks I could put in a leaf rake at one time. But I told them, and they shouldn't be throwing rocks in the pool anyway because it could damage the pool surface. There could be metals in the rocks, or it could impact the surface and crack it if if the rock's big enough. And if they step on it or start pounding something with the rock, it's not a good situation. Again, it goes back to educating the customer and explaining why these things are bad for pools. And I'll end with this one. There was one time where the kids were diving for batteries. It was crazy. I don't know why they were doing this, but there was one of the batteries that actually exploded on the bottom of the pool because they didn't get it out. It was a D battery. And that left a really, really bad stain in the bottom of the pool that is just not rectifiable. So using batteries, diving for batteries, not a good idea. Just go to the store, buy those rings or those weights that sink to the bottom. And, the customer needs to be educated that there are some things that can damage the pool. So I didn't really go too far. I actually had a much longer list, and I'll probably do a second part to this because I think this is really important. Homeowners that aren't helping you is something that really impacts your pool service. If you're looking for other podcasts that I've recorded, You can find those on my website, swimmingpoollearning.com, and on the banner, click on the podcast icon. There'll be a drop-down menu of over 1,600 podcasts there for you. And if you're interested in the coaching program that I offer, you can learn more at poolguidecoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.